Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Graham and I'm a teacher candidate at Brock University in the primary junior section. I'm here to talk to you about my Genius Hour research. So you kind of ask yourself, what is a Genius Hour? A Genius Hour is to work on something that is for professional development for new learning experiences. So something that I researched was, how do you do a perfect hockey stop? This interests me because I've been playing hockey on and off, boys and girls leagues, competitive, non-competitive, for about 18 years now. And now I have gained the experience to be a coach for a double B under 16 girls league. So what I did was, for my research, was kind of thinking about like the different components that you would need for stopping. So I kind of thought about myself, like, how did I ever stop? So a little background information about that is that I actually started off as a figure skater, ironically enough. And when I moved over to hockey, my mother was my coach, and she said the most embarrassing thing that she ever saw me do was try to stop using the front pick of my toe. That's kind of a joke for people who understand a little bit more about hockey. So for people who might not, there's a differences in figure skates and hockey skates. Figure skates have a little toe pick at the front that allows you to stop, whereas hockey skates do not. So it did take me a little bit to understand the differences between the two, but I was able to finally understand the concept of it. So to go back into my research, I also thought about what can I do to understand the concepts that there are and the different opinions that are out there of the perfect hockey stop. So there was a couple things that I did. One was I reached out to a couple different of my coaches that I have had throughout my life to see what they thought and what their best opinion was on what a perfect hockey stop was. Also, what drills that they would use, especially on me, someone coming in that might not necessarily know how to do a stop, or for others who are more experienced that they're able to do it, but they could be more accurate in it. Which leads me into my why I wanted to research this, is because I want to bring up this new improvement skills and drills to my own team to help support them to get better. So when I went to go talk to the coaches, they kind of expressed themselves that, you know what, like, this is a great topic, just because like a lot of people kind of overlook it just because they think, well, if that person's a great skater, they have to understand the different concepts and different everything when it comes to hockey. Well, that's not necessarily the case. When I actually researched later on and spoke with different coaches, they actually said that the differences are the strengths versus the techniques that there are when you are doing a hockey stop. So they said was, and I quote was, just because someone can skate really fast and transition from forward to backwards very easily does not mean that they can do a perfect stop. They do a perfect stop that's for them. So that could mean that the person's not edging their body out and properly doing it, where they might actually be hurting themselves rather than furthering themselves into the stop. So when I was speaking to them, they came up with a couple different opportunities and drills that they spoke with, but I'm going to break it down into 4 different steps. So step 1 was scraping the ice. So in more familiar terms, that meant is you're going to use the inner side of your skate closest into your legs, and you're going to be pushing off that way to get the more familiar feeling that you are pushing yourself to stop, if that makes any sense. Step 2 was the pizza drill. And this is a great relation to if you have ever been skiing and your feet make this to stop. So again, when you go down, others call it the V drill. You'll get into that a little bit later. Step 3 was 1 foot stop, where you're realizing that you're able to stop clearly on the outside edge of your skate. That's very easy. That's similar to scraping the ice, but this is the next step in order. And finally, step 4 would be the perfect hockey stop, which was stopping with both feet and turning your body in a motion where you are all on one side. And what I mean by that is, if you ever watch a professional hockey player, what they are doing is they're not necessarily scraping the ice like this coach was saying. They are going fast, their acceleration and adrenaline is pumping through them, and they are stopping all full force with their body in a way that you're pushing on an angle. So when you're stopping, your hips are rotating, your legs are out off to one side. That is what I learned through one coach that a perfect hockey stop was. So then later on, I researched the different drills that they spoke about, and some of the drills that they were saying were shaving the ice, a V stop, and a perfect hockey stop. So one, shaving the ice, is where you stand still with your knees bent parallel to each other. You slide your foot down, your 1 foot, away from your body onto the ice. And what you do is you push your inside of your skate up, which gives you the motion of your feet of transitioning in and out to make that stop. What a V-stop is, it's again very similar to a pizza stop, is you take a few strides forward and you're slowing it down, so you're known as also a snowplow. I laugh because they're different sayings because it's hilarious to think of pizza and a snowplow when you're skating. Again, so what you're doing is you're pushing off the edge of your skates to make a shaving movement onto the ice. What you do then is to start at 1 foot at a time to work your way up. So again, this is perfect for younger ages. So yes, it might not necessarily be the best for the older girls, but again, it's something that a lot of people are coming into the sport older and older each year, that they're going to be able to utilize these skills because it's easier to concept with something that they're familiar with. And especially a lot of girls, what they do is that they're coming from one sport to the next. So someone might be familiar with skiing and they might be able to understand the realization of how to do a pizza stop. So then we get into the hockey stop. So what you do is you pivot your lower body into one direction. Again, one direction. So then you lower the inside of your edge and the front skate to the rear. So what that kind of looks like is you're pushing your foot, so you're moving it forward and then down and then pushing again, where the rear side is. One thing that every coach said and everything where I researched and tried the drills myself was I noticed that I would always ask for help, like, what would I do? Like, how can I train my body? How can I do this? And the coach said it's really good when someone always asks, because then you're able to demonstrate to them what is the proper way to do this, which is very hard, I think, for young players, especially because you want to be known as the best at this, the best at that. But the way that people learn is by asking, and the way that people become more educated on the topic is by asking, which is awesome. Which now gets into my point of the strength versus the techniques. So again, we talked about earlier that not necessarily just because someone is great at skating and is able to transition, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a perfect hockey stopper. So what they did was that they understood the differences between the strength and the mechanisms that are there, and they can help a skater work more efficiently and be a more efficient, accurate, and quick skater, which also leads into being an overall great player, because then you're able to learn from yourself and understand what your boundaries are. So again, when I go back to it, like, I recognize that I might not necessarily stop or transition the same way that most people will, but understanding the perfect hockey stop is understanding what is most comfortable for you as well. I know that I always transition, and people always say that I curve my back left foot before I trick in, which is comfortable for me because I actually had a scary knee injury in hockey. So I feel as if I do that because I'm compensating for over-exaggerating it, so not to hurt myself again, which leads into our weaknesses that can happen as well when this is happening. That some people say that it's harder for people to do a perfect hockey stop because they have weak ankles, injuries, they're trying to learn too fast, their skates aren't fitting properly, which is a big no-no because you never know the comfortability of someone. Because if you're buying skates and they're not comfortable for you and you're recognizing this can be very difficult. And this comes down to it where it's understanding, again, what is more comfortable for you. And that's what I realized in researching my Genius Hour of how to do a perfect hockey stop, is to do the best what you can do for you. It's understanding that this is more comfortable for me compared to what research says or the drills say, that I am able to do this and I know that I'm able to accurately do it and do it safe. I hope you guys all had a great time listening. It was a lot of fun to be able to research something that I'm definitely interested in, especially with hockey and coaching. It is definitely one of my passions, and I'm super excited that I got the opportunity to look more in depth into it. So hopefully this wasn't too long, and you guys had a great time. I can't wait to hear everyone else's.